Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and today I want to talk about Your Hand Has a Memory. So, this is the blog post that I would like to share with you. Your hand has a memory. When I showed my latest artwork to some friends, they asked, "Did you have a stencil? Did you draw it out first? Or how did you do it?" My responses were no, no, and free-handed. I've never done this exact painting anywhere, but I've done countless doodles in the margins of my spiral notebooks, backs of paper, and even the occasional meeting agenda. So when I decided to paint my wall, I figured that I was ready. Here is some advice that I text to my niece at Morgan State University just this weekend. She said that it was okay for me to share. Me: "Hi, how are you?" Niece: "Hi, Auntie Nene. I'm okay. How about you?" Me: "I'm good. I did some painting today." Niece: "Okay. How was that?" Me: "It was good. I haven't painted in over a year. And before the past two paintings, I haven't painted in about 10 years, I think." Niece: "Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. I love the color." Me: "Thanks. To God be the glory. Are you on spring break?" Niece: "No, not until next week." Me: "Okay. Do you have midterms before the break?" Niece: "Yes." Me: "How do you feel about taking them?" Niece: "I'm not sure. I hope to do well. I'm studying for them now." Me: "Hi, okay." One of the things I would do when getting ready for important exams was to spend the most time studying for the classes that were the most difficult for me. Niece: "Yeah, I'm trying to spend more time studying the harder subjects." Me: "What subjects are those?" Niece: "Math, science, and INSS. Science isn't hard, it's just remembering everything." Me: "For science, draw diagrams. If you're supposed to know a process that happens in a sequence of steps, draw a diagram that has what happens first, second, third. Create an image for each step and label the image, and then summarize what happens at each step in a list under or next to your diagram. Make sure you include the vocabulary word, the bold text from your book." So, as a side note, I sent her a flow diagram of the scientific method Google search link, as well as images. While looking at the textbook and diagrams and watching YouTube videos might help, writing it out again will help you to remember what you studied. Niece: "Thank you. Right now, we're talking about the cell, the parts, osmosis, prokaryotes versus eukaryote." Me: "And when you write it out, pay attention. Don't just copy. Be present by thinking about what was said in class, what you read, the questions that were asked in class, and the questions in your textbook. Make sure that you can answer all of the questions in your textbook about the different types of cells." Niece: "Yes." Me: "How are they the same? What makes them different? Draw examples of each type of cell and label the parts. As you draw and label them, think about what parts one cell has that the other cell does not." Niece: "Yes." Me: "List examples of organisms that are prokaryote. List examples of organisms that have eukaryotic cells. Start with yourself. Do you have prokaryotic cells or eukaryotic cells?" So, as a side note, I sent a Venn diagram of a prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell Google search link, and also image search link for prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. In biology, you need to draw out everything. It is important to write, and draw with your hand, because when you take the test, your brain will remember what your hand has done. So writing and drawing help to reinforce what you learn. Niece: "Okay, I'll do that." Me: "For math, you need to work out the problems by writing out all of the steps. Do the examples in the reading section of the book. Go step by step. Ask yourself, what process/equation do I need to answer this question? How do I know each equation to use? What are the cues, clues, signals that tell me which process/equation to use? What information does the problem give me that I can plug into the equation? What do I need to do to get the missing information? Are there any constants, for example, pi, that I need to use? What is my first step and why? What do I need to do next and why? Write notes to yourself as you go from one step to the next. What are you thinking? My niece sends a heart emoji. Cover up the next step in the book. Only let yourself see the first line of the equation. Try working out the next step and uncovering the next line to see how you did on your own. Niece sends another heart emoji. If you make a mistake, don't erase it. Put a single line through it and make a note that explains why it was wrong. Then put in the correct step and see if you can get through the next step by yourself, and then uncover it to see how you did on that next step. Keep trying, uncovering and making notes to yourself as you go through the process/equation. Check your work as you go. Then, after doing the problems in the reading section of the text, go to the end of the chapter and do the problems there step by step like you did for the ones in the reading. The answers to the odd or even problems should be in the back of the book. In math, the answers mean nothing if you do not know the process of how to get the answer. If you get an answer wrong, go back to the questions in the reading and figure out to which problem the one at the end of the chapter is most similar. Niece heart emoji. If you find that a particular type of problem is giving you problems, look up a YouTube video using the name of the theory/type of problem and take notes. Find videos of someone working out the problem and follow along by writing it out. Do not just watch them do it. Your brain will remember what your hand has done. Niece, thank you. I will do that. Me, you're welcome. What is INSS? Niece, Information Science, Digital Literacy, and Application Software. Excel, Access, PowerPoint. Me, okay, I'm going to the store. Do you have your syllabus for that class? Yes. Me, go through your syllabus and notes. Highlight all of the functions you are supposed to be able to do. If you know how to do it without thinking hard about it, then put a check mark next to it. If you have to think about it, then put a star or something next to it so you will know that you need to review it. If you don't know it at all, then put a question mark next to it. Then go through and make examples using the software that requires you to perform the function. For example, in Excel, create a list of numbers or perform the function to sum, average, or sort in ascending or descending order. Create a graph or type in information on different sheets and have Excel calculate the information on another sheet. If you don't remember/know something, then look up how to perform the function on YouTube and follow the steps on your computer. Take screenshots of the steps and paste them into a Word document. Type in what you have to do at each step. With software, you have to keep playing with it until you get it, but making your own instruction manual with screenshots and text can help you. For PowerPoint and Excel, there is definitely a video for everything. I'm tired. Good night. I pray that God blesses you and grants you favor and brings everything back to your remembrance as you complete your midterms. Much love, Auntie Nene. Niece, good morning. Thank you for all your help. Heart emoji. Me, good morning. You're welcome. May I please use this message on my website? Niece, yes. I just got an A on my INSS midterm. Me, yay! Go, go. Praise the Lord. Salsa dance emoji, salsa dance emoji, salsa dance emoji. Niece, hand raise emoji, salsa dance emoji. So that was my blog post for March 2018. I want to emphasize from this blog post the importance of hands-on learning. Hands-on learning is important. For some people, the more they do physically, the more it will actually stick in their brain. So it might help some to actually draw out a diagram as opposed to just looking at it and reading it over and over again. By actually drawing out the diagram, labeling it, and including your own notes, that can help your memory. Also, if we're talking about working with software like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, actually playing with the software, following along with the video side by side while you work through the different steps steps may help you remember what to do the next time than just simply watching the video by itself. For me, I learned best or studied best when I would rewrite the notes of the classes that gave me the most difficulty. And because I needed to move quickly when it came to my science classes, so biology, chemistry, and the like, physics, I would spend time on the weekend rewriting my notes from class that I took during the week for two reasons. One, during the week while I wrote my notes, chances are I was moving fast. So I needed to make sure that they were legible. And if I could not read something that I wrote, then it would give me the time before I would had to take a test to actually look up what I missed in terms of not being able to read it, or perhaps I had to jump to the next set of notes because I was running out of time in class in order to keep up. So I would skip and pick up where the teacher was in order to make sure that I didn't get far behind. So rewriting my notes for my harder classes on the weekend helped me to create notes that were legible, as well as fill in any gaps in terms of information that I missed. So rewriting your notes, drawing diagrams, making your own notes might help you. So I want to encourage you to not only take notes, but if you have handwriting that's needs some work and you took your notes quickly, perhaps rewriting your notes will help you not only make sure that you got everything down and it's legible. For those of us who grew up during the age of trace, copy, recall, writing your notes, drawing your own diagrams may actually help you with studying. Now, when we're talking about science, everything has a diagram, a drawing, an explanation, a visual aid, because the terms and vocabulary words in science, they're not just a simple definition. So when we're talking about photosynthesis, we're not just talking about, oh, the process by which plants make their own food using the sun. There's a whole process that involves molecules, different parts of the cell, reactants, products, etc., that need to be taken into consideration. Also, the context or the environment in which the process is taking place impacts how that organism performs the function. So when we're talking about science, don't just copy down the definitions of the term, but make sure you understand the process, what goes into it, what happens during it, and what happens afterwards. So the result, what does it produce? What does it yield? That's what you have to understand. And it's helpful if you have a diagram to help you with that. Now, there are many diagrams and there are many videos out on the internet, but once again, if you draw it yourself and you write it out yourself and you make those notations yourself, it can actually help you remember the different parts and the roles that those things play in the processes. When we're talking about mathematics, it's important that you show your work. Yes, a lot of us are gifted and can do mental math. However, to ensure that the person grading your work understands your thought process, you have to be able to write it out. So you want to make sure that based upon the requirements of your teacher, you are writing out and showing your work when you're completing math problems step by step. That way, if something goes wrong and you end up not having the correct answer, they can actually highlight or direct you to what step you missed or may have written something that caused you to come out with the incorrect answer. And in some cases, when we're talking about math, if you do the right process and perhaps you fumbled on a number, you might get partial credit. And if you worked out the actual problem so that they can see it, they can help you by saying, hey, this is where you started. This was the right next move. This was the correct next move. But right here, this is where you seem to have gone astray. And this is what you should have had instead. And that way, someone is able to help you even more when you're able to show your work. When you're tasked with learning complex topics in class, make sure you use all of your resources, the resources that are provided to you in class, the resources that are provided to you in your syllabus, the resources that are provided to you in your online learning management system, whether that's Moodle, Edmodo, Blackboard, Canvas, etc. Wherever your professor, your teacher, your instructor provides you with resources to help you study, make sure you take a look at those things first and then ask questions. Also, if there are different sites that they direct you to help you study, make sure you take a look at those and do searches for the different topics or the different types of processes or the different types of equations that you are responsible for in order to get help with those things that you need help with. Then, after you've done all you can, email the professor, raise your hand, ask a classmate, reach out to the teaching assistant, go to tutoring, or go to the study hall and ask your questions. When you're creating your own study guide, feel free to take screenshots. Make note of where you got those screenshots and make notes that explain what's happening in the screenshot. It's one thing to say, click here. It's another thing to say right click versus left click, or insert any shortcut that you can use in order to help yourself move a little faster through a software product, such as Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. In order to master a software product, I encourage you to just practice, use it, and play with it. That way you can become more and more familiar with the different features. The more activities and exercises that you do, the more projects that you complete, the more samples that you make, the more equipped you will be in order to handle that software product. And you might even discover something, a shorter way of doing something that can help you in the future that you might not need to know right at the moment. So just to do a recap, I want to encourage you to write your own notes. If you handwrite your own notes, the chances are it will help you remember what you actually studied, what you covered, and what was not covered when you were writing. So once again, I want to encourage you to make handwritten notes when you are taking notes for class. If you take notes in class and you find that your handwriting can need some improvement, take time on the weekend to rewrite your notes and use that time to not only make a clean copy of your notes, but also find out what you missed. Did you skip a step? Compare your notes to what is happening in your textbook, or compare your notes against what the teacher or the instructor provided for you in a PowerPoint presentation. Was there material listed on the PowerPoint in bullet format and you don't quite understand how it all groups together? Perhaps that's where you need to go back to your textbook or ask a classmate, hey, you know what? I think I missed something. Do you know where I can find this information? Make sure that you're asking questions when you're rewriting your notes. Do I understand all of this information? Did I miss anything? Is there something else or another resource that I should insert in my notes in order to make sure that I revisit it in order to help me study? If you're working with software, make sure that you are actually working through the software product while you watch the videos at the same time. That way you can get a feel for left clicking, right clicking, using the drop down, hovering over different buttons in order to see how it feels to navigate that software, as opposed to just simply watching the video and then sometime later trying to perform the function on your own. It's good to do it side by side. When you're studying for your midterms, I want to encourage you to study your hardest classes first. Those classes that you have down packed, that you know like the back of your hand, you can leave those to later just to review the information. But up front, spend the most time on the classes that give you the greatest challenge. That way, you're not leaving your studying for those classes to the last minute. Now, when I was in undergraduate school, when it came to finals, we were actually allowed to schedule our finals. And so what I would do, I would make sure that I scheduled my finals for my hardest classes first. That way I could get them out the way and I can start to relax and do those classes that were easier to me than those other classes. I would also specifically work on my major classes the most. So as a biology major, I also had mandatory chemistry classes that I had to take. So I would spend a good amount of time studying my biology and my chemistry classes, and I made sure that I took those finals first to get them out of the way. Once again, so I could relax and breathe and take those other classes that I found to be less challenging than those classes later on. As far as math is concerned, make sure that you're writing out your work. Show your work. That way, someone can follow your rationale or your logic for how you completed the problem. Just in case you come up with an answer that's different from them, they can follow your work to see where things were different and also redirect you to steps that you should take in order to make sure that you complete the problem based upon the expectations of the instructor. Once again, just to back up to science one more time, make sure that you spend time drawing diagrams. Whatever the vocabulary words are, there are images that go with those words, whether it's images of structures and you need to make sure that you write their functions out, or they're images of processes and you need to know what reactants go in, what happens in the middle during the reaction, and what products come out as a result of that process, then make sure you do that. With science, there's a lot that goes into small words, and you need to make sure that you understand those. And it's helpful to have diagrams, drawings, step-by-step processes, and even pictures and images that go along with those processes. Don't just leave it to straight text, because you will most likely be presented with drawings, diagrams, and equations that you will have to label, identify, or use as a form of context to answer a question, whether that is an equation or information about a process or the type of organism that you're looking at. Once again, thank you for listening to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Jordan. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast so that it can be more discoverable. And until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.